Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Underground Treehouse. I'm Big Kenny and it's Guy Show time. Now, as a kid, I was a big, huge fan of comic books. You could look around the Underground Treehouse and see it adorned with various comic book memorabilia. Now, the first thing that drew me to comic books was the vibrant images. But as I got older, the thing that kept me engaged was the allegorical nature of the stories. One of the common threads in the comic books is the story of the fatal flaw in a man. Now, to explain this kind of simply, you have a person who's a pretty solid individual, otherwise from his fatal flaw. Now, in the Spider-Man series, the character was Dr. Harry Osborn. Now, Dr. Harry Osborn was a brilliant scientist. He was a billionaire businessman and philanthropist. His fatal flaw was that he was bat crap crazy. And because of that madness, he would turn into the supervillain, the murderous Green Goblin. Now, that brings me to our average, everyday superhero man out there in the streets whose fatal flaw seems to be making sound decisions when it comes to sex. Now, we've seen it time and time again where men will risk everything that they've built their entire lives over allegations of sexual harassment. Now, let's be clear. We're not talking about rape. We're not talking about sexual assault, which is a very heinous crime. Both of them are. We're talking about sexual harassment, which Webster's dictionary defines as unwanted or uninvited verbal or physical behavior of a sexual nature, especially by a person of authority towards a subordinate, i.e. a student or an employee. Which brings me to my point. Men, please, never get your meat the same place you make your bread. That was some wise advice given to me, and it means that you got to cut out the workplace romance. I know it's difficult. I've seen it all the time. Now, a lot of people don't know this about me, but before being blessed with a 23-year career in comedy, my first life was in the restaurant business. I worked in the front and the back of the house of many different types of restaurant concepts, and I worked my way up to management. Well, a lot of people who've worked around restaurants or who know people who've worked in restaurants know this. Restaurants are rife with sex and drugs. I don't know what it is about being in a restaurant, but generally the people who work in restaurants get it on a lot, and somewhere, somehow, it's easier to count the people who don't get high than it is to count the people who do get high. So we find ourselves in a situation. I had a good friend. Both of us were managing at a restaurant. Now, there was this little waitress at the restaurant, kept giving my man the eye. You know what I'm saying? And she was the little ooh. She had it. You know what I'm saying? I understood why he was attracted to her. So, against better judgment, against my advice, he starts knocking her off. Now, because restaurants are rife with sex, there was a bartender who seemed to express a certain interest in him as well. He started hanging out with her. Now, because restaurants have drugs involved too, the waitress he was messing around with had a little cocaine problem, and she found out about the bartender. So she comes into the office one night before closing. It's on Sunday night. He's closing with her, and if you know anything about restaurant offices, they're really, really tight, about the size of one of those toll booths, something like that. So after everyone is gone, she comes to the office and she says to him, "Hey, I know what's been going on with you and the bartender, and you gonna learn to stop playing with me." So she starts tearing the office up. She's ripping credentials down off the wall. She's messing up awards. She's got paperwork and everything flying. So he calms her down. He gets her to leave the office. He starts straightening up, and he notices that one of the bank bags is gone. Now, this happens on about a Sunday night. Sometimes in restaurants, they hold the deposits till Monday morning to avoid any trouble. Well, he notices the bag is gone. He contacts her and says, "Look, this bag is gone. You need to bring it back." And she says she needed the money. Admitted to stealing it, but she needed the money to pay somebody for some drugs that she had taken on credit. Now, remember, drugs and sex in the restaurant. So he says to her, "Hey, you need to bring that bag back or I'm going to call the police," to which she says, "And I will tell them that you tried to rape me in the office. We've been having sex because you said if I didn't do it, you would cut my hours. And you know, I got a lot of responsibilities and I'm going to really need my job. So we started having sex, and then you said you want to keep having sex. I said no. So you tried to rape me in the office, and because I wouldn't have sex with you and I fought my way out, you're trying to accuse me of stealing. Now, he was put in a position with this. Either he admits to fraternization, which was against company policy, or he gets the law involved and tries to prove that he didn't try and rape this girl. So what did he do? He did the only thing that you could do in a corporate culture and still keep your job in a situation like this. He faked drug and alcohol and substance abuse problems. He said that he took the money himself because he wanted to go get high and he's sorry and he needs treatment. The company allowed him to resign that position, take some time off, get treated, and come back. Now, this dude had to fake a whole drug addiction because he couldn't keep his hands off of somebody who worked with him. Gentlemen, it's not worth it. Don't get your meat the same place you make your bread. You don't want to be a fake meth head.